Hey, this is AV Unit 4A for CollectionDX.com. In this review, I will be highlighting the transformation, special features, and other notables from two separate sets from the 2008 Super Sentai series Engine Sentai Go-Onger. These are two separate sets that I'm going to be covering in the same video. Engine Gattai Series number 4, Engine Tripter, and Engine Gattai Series number 5, Engine Jettoras. They act as partners in the TV series. They appear at the same time in the TV series. So even though these are sold separately, in separate boxes, they never came together, I'm going to be reviewing them at the same time in the same video. Okay, first I'll be starting with Engine Tripter. Tripter is a combination of a helicopter and she seems to have something of a gender issue. In the series, she has a female-sounding voice, a very assertive individual, Engine, and she has just that one comb on the top. So even though, yeah, it's guaranteed she's a chicken, it's debatable whether she's a hen or a rooster, because in the little holographic versions she has a little waddle down there, whatever it is, which, well, female chickens lack. Hens lack this. So I'm going to refer to Tripter as a female just by default. So anyways, you guys can decide that. Well, this one's very simple to operate. There's that. Spins easily enough, that's nice. And then it has 3 wheels here, here, and here, with which to roll about. And that's it. That's all the Tripter does. The mouth doesn't open. These fans, don't open and close, and so it's just kind of meh. Aside from her very simple functionality, the biggest gimmick, of course, is that you can put an engine soul into her. The tabs are on the sides. This time you squeeze it together. This folds in, folds down, and then you put the engine soul in, which we all know, love, and care dearly for. That engine soul is actually a little louder than we're used to. I don't know why. Okay, character sound effects on the left. That bata 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 is Japanese onomatopoeia for the sound of helicopter blades spinning. So when she says bata bata bata, that's the sound that helicopter makes in Japanese rather than, one of the syllables from her name. Anike is her kind of pet name for Go on Gold, her partner, her human partner. So, which, yeah, so. No idea what that means. Somebody please tell me. Now, here's the interesting thing. I have not seen this in, so far I've worked just with engine souls in my reviews. This engine soul actually has 5 character sound effects in it rather than 4. And she's just saying yes sir there. Generic sound effects are on this side. And that's it. Now the interesting thing, again, something else I haven't seen before, is that unlike the previous engine souls, when you hold one of these 2 buttons down, the sound effects will continue. Previously that was not the case. You just press it, you could hold it down all you want to, you would just do the sound effect and then quiet down. Not the case here. Oh yeah, when you hold down either of the buttons for any length of time, you can hear the sound recycle if you listen carefully enough. When it recycles more than once, when you hold it down, she will say mission kanjo, or however that's pronounced, which means mission complete, which both Tripter and Jettoras do. So, you heard the helicopter side, and then you hear And that is the machine, these are the cannons that are firing from here. So she does her strafing runs, which are, you know, kind of cool. And that's it. Now, and then another thing you can do, as you could with Engine Gatai Series number 1 Burka and number 2 Gunford and number 3 Corrugator, is you hold down one side and you can press the other. No idea what that means. Somebody please tell me. Now in this case she has two unique sound effects. There's the one where, you know, she sounds like she's spitting mad about something, and then there's the one you just heard there. It sounds like a repeat of Keko Keko, however she says. I don't know what that means. That's probably the sound of a... I suspect that's the sound of a chicken or something like that. And then the other one is... it has an add-on, so she says Keko, Keko, and then she says, I think it's like Soya Keko, something like that. So I don't know what that one means. So in this case, her engine soul has total three extra sound effects. So, that's interesting, but, this one's okay. And next we'll be dealing with Engine Gatai Series number 5, Engine Jettoras. Jettoras is a combination of a jet fighter. I suspect he's a stealth fighter just because of some of the angular lines on there, and he also has an attack which is known as the Jettoras Phantom. He turns himself invisible and creates holographic copies of himself. That sounds kind of stealthy to me. And the other half is that of a tiger. He's got, you know, stripes on him. He's got little whiskers, small nose, ears, and then he's got fangs on the front. So, of course, as we all know, tigers have great big fangs on them. His feature, the wings are capable of pitching up and down, but I'm not exactly sure why they did this, but they are, you know, fully capable of bending. The fangs and the wingtips are PVC. Everything else on here is ABS. So, and as for his features, he's got the three wheels, just like Tripter has. And then the other feature is the Jettoras Tomahawk. I want to say Tomahawk, but it's Tomahawk. And he comes with a single missile. So instead of shooting cannon bullets or whatever it is, you have a missile. Stick that in there, and it's just like that. And then the trigger is over here on the right side. Now, it's not a trigger activated button, it's a pressure button. So, you know, the faster you push, the further out it'll fly, because you can see it's got that little ball thingy there. So that's how the Jettoras Tomahawk feature works. And now we'll be dealing with this engine soul. The door for the engine soul compartment works exactly the same as it does on Tripter. Stick it in there. Engine soul set. This engine soul isn't quite as loud because, unlike Tripter and most of the others, he doesn't have any holes for the speaker in the engine soul. So that's interesting. Personal sound effects are thus. Like Tripter, who said bata bata bata, which is onomatopoeia for the sound of helicopter rotor spinning, Jettoras uses the sound of a jet passing overhead. Geen! I like the way he says that, as opposed to one of the syllables from his own name. It's a little difficult to understand there, but he's saying, Ikusa buddy. Let's go, buddy. I think that's fairly obvious what that one is, and it's pretty obvious what that says. Surprisingly, he doesn't speak English very much in the series, but here he is speaking English phrases. Now for the generic sound effects. Oh yeah, again, for character sound effects, he had five. He had 5 sound effects, character sound effects. And now for the generic one-size-fits-all stuff. In case you're wondering what that sound effect is, that's the sound of the Jettoras Tomahawk firing. Now here's the interesting thing. Remember, I told you that if you push on this button, you fire out the missile. Well, the cool thing is, since this is also tied into the engine soul, yeah, you probably guessed it by now. it triggers both of those at the same time, which is pretty cool. And of course you can have the sound effects which are on both sides. I read somewhere that, do please correct me if I'm wrong, that says, "You cannot escape from my fangs," is what he's saying right there. I'm not sure if that's what he's actually saying, but I just have to rely on what other people have said. Like with Tripter, there's one of the character-based sound effects has been expanded on when you use that sound effect. And now we're going to be getting into the reason as to why it is I'm reviewing both of these at the same time as opposed to individually. In the series, Tripter and Jettoras do not combine individually with the Engine Gatai Engine-O. As a toy version, yeah, you could do it, whatever it is, but just for sake of continuity, you can only do it this way. We all know how this works. We've done this before. Oh yeah, this makes, I believe this is the DX Engine Gatai Engine-O's 5th or 6th appearance on YouTube. That's quite a record. Transformation is very simple on both of these, unfortunately. Take that off and just plug that right back in. Put that back on. You don't have to take this off, but I do it just to save hassle. This one's a little trickier to get on, it's a little trickier to get on, so you don't just snap it on the top, you actually have to slide it along these gray tabs here, so what do you know, I caught it on the first try. And this would be Engine Gatai Engine-O Jettripter. Engine-O Tripter is treated the same way as all the other combinations. Tilt these forward, they snap at every 45 degrees. Yeah, you already know that. And of course, as with Burka and Gunford, I'm sorry, you can also twist at the elbows. Actually, that's probably the shoulders. I don't know. I love it. People say that I'm being overrated, but I'm saying that for a Super Sentai, for a DX-sized Super Sentai mecha, that's great. That's why I'm being so enthusiastic about these joints. It's not because it's, ooh, they can twist, but because, ooh, it's a Super Sentai toy with joints that can twist, okay? That's the exception to the rule. You know, Transformers, da-da-da-da-da-da. I could go on. For Tripter, it actually has two, for Jettriper, actually has two functions. Now, as was the case with Engine-O Burka, you can't spin this because it taps into the shoulders, so you have to turn it forward or backward and then it'll spin. Now, why is it, you know, this doesn't look like a very functional arm. If you've seen, what's it called? Gundam 00, one of the mecha in there has a shield that's made of like a bar or propeller or something like that, and then when it spins, it's a shield. So Jettriper has a spinning shield, which is why you don't have a big honking disc or something like that. So that's why that's on the left, on the right side there. On the left side, might be a little more obvious as to what this is. It's a bow and arrow. It's a long bow. Now, let's see. I dropped the missile. Where is it? There it is. You stick the missile in here. And it does that. And again, a little trickier to get to the trigger there, but it acts the same. What's it called? The finisher is known as the Jettor bullseye. I don't know why they call it that now. Of course, as we all know, because Engine-O Tripter is not posable, the closest you can get is probably that. And then, you know, shoot it off. Because, you know, in the series, you know, it turns to the side very dramatically like this, and it draws this energy arrow back with the bow strings on the back there, and then, you know, boom! Yeah, well, you don't get that option in here. You don't get this option with the toy. So, you can turn it sideways, and actually, one thing I suppose I've been negligent about when it comes to the DX Engine-O is you can actually pull the joint outward and twist it twist it to the side like that. So you can kind of cheat like that. It won't hold, but you can still do it. So this is actually one of my favorite poses to put it in. In conclusion for these two, at this point what I would say the only reason you want to get them is just because they're used for combinations later on. That's it. Same applies to, you know, Burka and Gunford, of course, but with these two, I don't know, you just can't do anything with them other than spin them and shoot them and roll them, and that's it. I admit that's more than Burka and Gunford did, but I don't know, just something seems to be lacking here. There's no innovation or anything that went into these two. The advantages, or the highlights I should say, is that each one has an extra set of sound effects in them, in you know, all three, character, generic, and then the combos. So in that regard it's different, but I don't know, they're okay. I suppose my expectations were higher, and I was a little let down, or whatever it is. I could mumble on and on about how average these guys seem. Out of the two, I'd say Tripter is the better of the two, just because of that. So, this is AV Unit 4A for CollectionDX.com, signing off.